Okay, over to you, Dr. Chandra.
Okay, sir. Just a minute, sir. Yeah.
Yes, continue, Dr. Chandra.
Okay, sir. So good evening, everyone present here. On behalf of the core team Mental Health Webinar Series and Dr. Suresh Kumar Murugesan, the team lead of this webinar series, and the organizer, the Department of Psychology, the American College Madurai, and associating partners, Madras School of Social Work, Chennai, Red Pond Educational and Psychological Research Center, Madurai, Yellow Pond Counseling Center, Madurai, MS Chelamuthu Institute of Mental Health and Rehabilitation, and Psycho-Oncological Association, Turkey. We warmly welcome you all to today's session 412. And today we have the resource person, Swapna Cherukuri, with us. She's a psychologist from Chennai, and she's here to talk about early childhood issues in children. So we are very much happy to have you here, ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting our request and being present here. And now I request Dr. Murugesan to talk a few words about the speaker to the group today. Ma'am, thank you so much. I think Sar is on another winder. And we would be very happy to hear from you to talk a few words about yourself before to begin the session.
Sure.
Ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank each one of you for giving your time and presenting yourself in the webinar this evening. I also take opportunity to thank Dr. Suresh Kumar, HOD Psychology, American College, Madurai, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present myself in front of you all. So a special thanks to Mr. Shankar for facilitating this. To tell you about myself, I hope I'm audible. Everybody is able to hear me well.
Please proceed. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm Swapna Cherukuri. I'm from Chennai. I have completed MA Psychology very recently. And then I would call myself an early childhood educator. Like I have been in the field of early childhood education for the past 10 years. 5 years like directly working with young children, being a kindergarten teacher in preschools and kindergarten, and also in pre-primary levels. Otherwise, I was into curriculum development for the children, and I was into framing lesson plans for young children. I have provided in-service training for the teachers in our school. I have also conducted some parenting workshops like in and around the community. So this is how I have been involved myself in EC. And very recently, under the guidance of my mentor, Mrs. Prema Daniel, we were into a work of like creating a manual for teachers trainers of teachers like in early childhood education. So we completed the manual. We also released it. We did it in part with the TN Forces, that is Tamil Nadu Forum for Child Care Services. So we have finished that, and it has been widely available for the public for the training purpose of the teachers and the trainers who are involved in the early childhood education. So this is about myself. And I would like to share my PPT so that we can directly proceed into our session today. There it is. There can be a slight correction in the topic. Like it is not exactly the issues that we're going to talk today. It is about the development and learning in early childhood education, in early childhood period. Are you able to see the content, madam?
Ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, what is child development? It may refer to the changes as a child grows or develops in various aspects, such as physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, and cognitively. We call it as domains of development. The first 5 years of a child's life are really important because the child undergoes the changes in the domains of development. Of that, the first 3 years can be considered for rapid brain development. We all hear a lot about brain development in the early years, DHA levels, and all that. So, why do you say that the early years are very important? The early experiences that child receives impacts child's learning and development. The rapid brain development happens as the child uses the sensories, like the five senses, like touching, hearing, feeling, and tasting, as the child grows up. So that is how we believe that children learn about their environment and the world. By birth, almost all the neurons, like the brain cells that will ever be present in the brain, will be formed. Each time the child uses one of the senses, a neural connection is made in the child's brain. We call it a synapse. Like every time the child is using one of the senses and learning things, or when the new information is given to the child, the synapse is made. It is very important for the brain development and also for the memory building. New experiences repeated many times over and over when a child does something, it helps make new neural connections. So how can we stimulate this development? A lot of attention and care is essential for the young ones. As babies, we need to give a lot of attention to them by holding them, cuddling them, talking to the babies, paying a lot of attention to them. Quite a few times, like we hear some of our elders saying that, you know, when the child cries, let the child cry. Don't immediately go carry the child. It's okay. Otherwise, they'll want to know always to be carried, and they will not be by themselves. Those are actually misconceptions. The more attention you give to the child, what happens? There is more security, a sense of belonging in the world. So, the child will feel belonging to the place in the new environment. It will build their self-esteem, self-confidence, and so many things like that. So it is always very, very important to give a lot of attention to the young children. And nutrition. Nutrition plays a very important role for the overall development. At least for the first 6 months, breastfeeding is mandatory for very good development. It all stimulates engagement and development. A healthy environment with a lot of opportunities to explore. The environment of the child, you know, it need not be like you have to buy something and give to the expensive toys or something like that. No, just care. Whatever things are there around you, make use of them. Talk to the child. Let them explore. Keep communicating. Keep talking. All that will make a lot of difference in the development. An effective communication from the adults. Avoid being harsh and punishing. So when you being very harsh or punishing the connections, development will not be that great. So it is very important to remember very
Ma'am, your voice is not audible. Hello.
percent to 90% developed. Did you know the brain of a toddler is twice as active as that of an adult? Children need sufficient stimulation for proper brain development. When it comes to development, we must understand that each child is unique and their development style is also unique. Even if they are siblings, not both of them are same. Both the children cannot be the same. They have their own unique personalities and their own learning styles, developmental styles. So one child, maybe like the elder child would have done something in 15 months of age, and then the second child does not do it until 18 or 20 months. It is not something to be worried. It is very, very normal. Development follows a similar pattern or sequence, but the rate may differ for each child. And there is something called as sensitive periods. This was spoken by Maria Montessori. Sensitive periods are like the periods like when the child's interest emerges at the time, maybe when provided the right stimulation. For example, how do you say it? Where a child may not be ready to learn something until and unless the urge to learn for it or the interest arises on her own. The child has to develop by her own. When you notice something like that, it is the right time to stimulate them with more opportunities. For example, you may wonder the child is not interested in learning colors. You may be thinking that, still the child is not aware of the colors. Suddenly, at a point of time, you may notice the child recognizing colors or naming them. So you may take it as a cue and then provide them with a lot of opportunities. Talk to them more about it. Take the child outside, show different colors, encourage it. That is the time they can learn very well about it. Those are called as sensitive periods. And then the learning styles may also differ. Some children may be auditory learners, some may be visual learners, some are kinesthetic or practical learners. So everything is different. What kind of parenting is yours? We have like about 4 types of parenting. I'll just read through it. You can uh, think among yourselves like, where do you fit in? Authoritarian parent, you believe kids should be seen and not heard. When it comes to rule, you believe it's my way or the highway. Like you just want the child to follow whatever you're saying. You don't take your child's feelings into consideration. You know that this is right for the child. She or he may not know it because he or she is too small to know about it. So if you think like that, you fall under this category, authoritarian parent. The second one is role model or the authoritative parent. You put a lot of effort into ensuring you have a positive relationship with your child. You explain the reasons behind your rules. You don't just simply set rules, but you also tell them why you're doing that and also the consequences of not following it or following it. You enforce rules and give consequences, but you take your child's feelings into consideration. Next is permissive parent. You set rules, but rarely enforce them. At the time of misbehavior or something happens, you may come up with rules, and then after some time, you totally forget about them. Or if your child is too cranky about it, you may not continue to do that. You don't give out consequences very often. You don't tell them what happens if they don't follow something. You think your child will learn best with little interference from you. But he is on his own. He can manage. He will learn. The teacher is there to help him. They can handle. Why should I interfere? These kind of thoughts. Next is the neglectful parenting. You don't ask your child about school or homework. You rarely know where your child is or with whom she is. You don't spend much time with your child. So of the four, it has been proven that the second one, the role model, authoritative parenting, is a good way of doing it. it ensures good development in your child. You can go through it one more time. Next is, what is responsible in child development, nature or nurture? This has been a very old age debate, and we also have studied about it in various areas. What plays an important role in the development? Is it the nature's influence or the nurture's influence? Nature's influence, we are talking about the genetic and hereditary influences that are inherited by the child. And then the nurture is the environmental influences. What do you think plays a very important role in shaping a child? It can be said that after all research and so many, like some theorists or some philosophers believe that nature influences is more, and some believe that nurture's influences is more, or this is the predominantly this takes place. It can be said that both nature and nurture plays an influential role in child's development, and that the nurture can make changes in the child's development, like how what the child is exposed to, how the child is being raised, or the environment and all those things will definitely have impact over the child. Children have preferred ways of learning. It can be called as the learning styles. Yeah, we already saw this. Auditory learners are like learn best by listening and being told about things. Visual learners learn when they are shown how to do things, or by seeing the images or watching videos. And kinesthetic learners learn best by moving and doing practical things, having hands-on experience. So these are the different types of learners. And that is why, like our school curriculum, the children, the education, they are introducing various types of methods of teaching the children, and what the activities that they do in their classrooms. Okay, next we can see about the domains of development. Physical, cognitive, language and literacy, socio-emotional development, and creative development. These are the various domains of development. One by one, we will have a look at it. The physical development is the changes or growth in height and weight of the body. Physical growth, which comprises mainly body growth, brain growth, and motor skills development, which is rapid in the early years. Physical development can be again into two types: fine motor skills and gross motor skills. The fine motor skills are the small muscles development, the eye-hand coordination, finger dexterity, and the tongue muscles. How the child is able to do the things and activities using these fine motor skills and control over them. Next is the gross motor skills. The large or the gross muscles development, locomotor and non-locomotor. Locomotor is like jumping, skipping, running, sliding, these kind of heavy activities. Non-locomotors are like bending, twisting, pushing, stretching, etc. This is just a picture about how the physical development in very young children, in babies. Say about 6 weeks, the baby is able to move the head and look at the objects that are presented. We can call it the eye coordination. And about by 4 months, the baby is able to reach out for toys. 4 to 6 months, the palm grasp is developed. When you place your finger on the palm of the child, immediately the baby will close the fist. At about 7 months, the baby is able to transfer things from one hand to another. 10 months, the baby is able to hold objects, pick the objects using the thumb and the finger. 16 to 18 months, the baby is able to hold a crayon and write. So that is why this is another reason that we do not push our children to write at a very early age. We have to wait until 4 to 5 years before they begin writing. If the child is having difficulty in holding the pencil and writing, we should definitely not force the child to do that. Because the wrist bones and all are not fully developed. Next is the cognitive development. It is the ability of a child to think, perceive information, process it, understand, problem solve, and the related. It is important to nurture the cognitive development in a child right from birth or even before. Research shows that children who can distinguish sounds at 6 months of age are better at acquiring the skills for learning to read at 4 and 5 years of age. The cognitive development. Please go through this. I would like to talk about this one. This is Jean Piaget's theory of development, of child development, cognitive development. So he has classified like 4 stages of development in young children. The first one is birth to 2 years of age, that is the sensory motor stage. In this stage, the children learn more things by touching the things, using their 5 senses, like tasting it, feeling it, hearing, and seeing the things. And okay, we will finish one by one. Sensory motor stage, they also learn about object permanence. Say about 7 or 8 months of age, the child will be able to recognize that the things exist even if they cannot see it. Not until then, this idea is formed in a child, in a baby. If they see something, they are present there. If it is out of sight, out of mind. So that is the concept. But about 7 to 9 months, they are able to recognize that even if an object is not present in front of them, it still exists. If you keep a rattle or a toy in front of the child and you just place a pillow over it, the child will immediately come and take the pillow off and understand that the object is there. Peekaboo, hide and seek, all these are like, this is the concept behind it. So even when a a very young baby left in a creche, like, is able to understand that the primary caregiver, being the mother or father or whoever, is
Miss Swapna, there is an cannot able to hear you. Can you please check your audio? Hello.
I think there is issues on her side. I think she'll be back in a minute or two.
Okay.
come back to the child and there's the stage. Hello? Hello?
Hi, Swapna. We lost you for around a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can proceed.
Should I go back? Now you're able to hear me?
Perfect.
Okay. Should I go back? Where
Proceed
should I
from
start from?
7 months to 2 years. That's it.
Oh, okay. This one, right?
Yeah.
So the pre-operational stage is where the children are able to think concretely, but not very logically. I can give you an example. Like if you place a mass of clay in front of a child, the same amount of clay, if you just keep it like one ball, and then on the other side, like if you keep the same amount of clay in a long um, um, a tube-like structure or something, if you roll it and just put it like that, if you want a child to pick one of it, the child will obviously go for a larger. She'll think like which is larger, which is more clay. The child will pick the longest piece of clay because she thinks the visually what is available to them is like it is more and this is less. They cannot understand the mass value of the clay. So that is the pre-operational stage. Next comes the concrete operational stage, where at this stage, children are able to think logically and more organized. Okay, one example I can give is like if you place a glass of water. Same amount of water in two different glasses and the big glass. If you pour the water,
The voice is breaking from your side. Can you please check next week now?
you do it right in front of them. They are the center of everything.
Miss Swapna, your bandwidth is bit low. I think your bandwidth is bit low. If you could switch off your video, I think we'll be able to hear you clearly. Miss Swapna?
Do that.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Ma'am, there was a suggestion for you. If you think the internet bandwidth is low on your site, you can go off the video for a while and so that the presentation could be heard, ma'am.
Am I there? Hello?
Yes, you are there, Swapna.
Can hear you. Now we can hear you.
I'm not able to, the first time I'm using this.
If you are
Ma'am,
using
no.
WebEx over your
WebEx for the
laptop,
first time. Yeah.
your laptop, there is a red button in the middle of the screen, in the bottom center of the screen. Start video and stop video. You can press that. Yeah. And you can start your presentation.
Okay. So now my video is off, right? Okay.
Yes, your video is also.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, concrete operational stage. The child is able to think very logically and organized. And next comes the formal operational stage, where they are able to think abstract and they are able to explain the hypothesis behind. Okay, where children become more systematic and reasonable, and they can not only reason the tangible objects, and events, but also they possess capability of reasoning and thinking in more abstract, hypothetical, and idealistic ones. They're able to give reasons behind their understanding. So what stimulation you can give for this cognitive development? How can you boost the cognitive development in young children? All that we can do is listen to them and talk to them more. Allow the children to speak, and also you talk back to them. Next, let the children explore their environment. Allow them to make mistakes, even if they're engaging in messy plays like playing with the colors or playing with sand, whatever it is. Let them do the task, complete it, because they are learning something from that. Encourage the children by asking why and how questions. We need to ask a lot of questions to the children, and if it is open-ended, you can allow them to stretch their mind to think more and come up with more answers, or even think in a very creative way. Exposed to books, read a lot of books to children. Also encourage them to read books. Expand the child's interest. If you notice that the child is very interested in dinosaurs or the trains, you can take them to visit to museums and let them give them more knowledge about it. If your child is interested in painting, you can visit art galleries, things like that. That will enable them to explore more in that particular area. Never criticize or belittle the children. When you do that, they will stop exploring. They are afraid of making mistakes, and they will not take any chance to do anything new. Next is the language and literacy. It relates to the skills used to communicate with others and also the skills to read and write. That is the literacy. It may follow a pattern like first comes the listening and then speaking, reading or writing, or writing or reading. So listening, like right from birth or even before birth, the baby starts listening to us. So it is essential that we keep talking to the child, read stories to the child, sing to the child, make them listen to music and those kind of things. Speaking, it starts with babbling, so cooing, babbling, and then the child will start speaking broken sentences, one or two words at a time. By the age of 4, the child a very simple sentence and communicate well with us. Reading in the preschool level, we start introducing the letters of alphabets or the numbers, and more print is made available to the child for this purpose. So as they are exposed to the print, they are able to recognize the letters or words, and then slowly comes the reading habit. And then the writing at the kindergarten level. So what you can do for language development is, again, talk to the child, listen to the child. There is something called serve and return, that is like listening to the child and then giving your answers or your ideas to the child in an effective way. And then reading books. There are also, like, you can start reading to the babies from a very young, like even in the womb, like you can start reading to the child. The child definitely listens to it, and it does have an impact in their development. So give them a lot of books. It should be age appropriate though. Very small babies, it should be like more of pictures and very, very limited or no words at all. For the toddler, you can start like more pictures and little words, small like 3-letter words or 4-letter words. Then once you start doing it repeatedly, the child will be able to learn the words or the objects in it. So exposed to prints, if you go into a preschool classroom or a kindergarten classroom, you can see a lot of words and prints everywhere, like on the walls and boards. That is because as the child continuously sees them over a period of time, they are able to recognize the word itself. Let the children socialize. Once the child socializes with other children, there is a lot of communication that is happening that will lead to, that will stimulate to language and literacy development. Next comes a socio-emotional development. This is a very, very important aspect of development, I would consider at least. I mainly focus on the young children's social and emotional development because I think this is very important for their lifelong. It includes the child's experience, expression, and management of emotions and the ability to establish positive and rewarding relationship with others. This is a lifelong skill, and definitely one should be able to build on it. So, what are some of the skills like self-care? The child should be able to take care of oneself, do little things like tying the shoelace, buttoning up the clothes, identifying oneself, and then feeding oneself, things like that, and then making friends, socializing, and then asking for help and things like that. Ways to regulate emotions. You can again read appropriate books for that, and you can talk about the emotions. It is very important that a child is able to regulate the emotions, identify one's emotions, whether the child is happy, sad, or fearful, whatever. So the child should be able to understand this emotion. So it is very important to talk to the child about this. So when the child is really upset, you can tell the child, I know something is bothering you. You're very upset about something. Identifying them is very important. In the same way, the child should also identify the same emotions from the others. If the parent is angry or sad, you please explain the child what kind of emotion is that. The child should be able to understand that. This is very, very important. And other techniques are like if the child is not able to regulate their emotions, you can use like the child is very angry, you can say, okay, use the technique, smell the flower and blow the candle. It is basically deep breathing, inhaling and exhaling, which will relax you. Smell the flower and then blow the candle. And then turtle technique, when you do want to get into a very not so good situation like fighting with your friends or controlling your anger, you can do the turtle technique. What does the turtle do? It hides himself inside the shell, right? So like that, you can ask the child to cover him up for a few seconds until he feels better, and then come out slowly. And then counting 1 to 10, and these kind of small techniques can help them regulate themselves. Next, stimulation for SED. Let the children play with other children. Most of us are very worried about this. We are very particular about choosing whom the child should go and play with. Those kind of things are there. So it is better if the child meets variety of people, be it children or adults. It is good that various emotions are important for the child. So encourage them to go and play with others. Meet people, interact. I know this is not possible in this corona time, but otherwise take opportunity and do that, at least in your inner circles. Next is help express the feelings, emotions, address them, as I told you in the previous slide. Then encourage them to share things, taking turns, give them healthy choices. Always don't be like, what do you want? Whatever the child asks for, don't immediately give them. You can give them choice, this or that. Among the two, they can choose. Those are the healthy choices. Advocate their feelings and thoughts. When the child is coming to you about one of the emotion or feeling, please understand that, and also let them know that you can understand that feeling. That gives them a lot of security and trust. Later they will be able to share anything with you. Otherwise they'll be like, they don't understand what I'm trying to say, why should I go to them? Next is respect the child and their emotions. Set predictable routines. This is also important. Like before you take the child out, make sure that they are prepared. Tell them that you're going somewhere, where you are going, and then what can be expected. Give them a hint of it, and also make sure that they are ready for it. They had their nap well, or they had their food, and they're not very cranky. Next is building attachment and bonding with the children. This is also very, very important. Right from the child is very young, you need to build on this. Bonding is very important. Not only as mother, even the father's involvement is very, very important. Most of the time, like young children are always with the mothers, and later, like a few months later, only the father's role comes in. It shouldn't be the case. The father's role is also very important right from the baby is born. Build one's vocabulary. Talk more to the child. That's when the vocabulary will be built. Introduce them to a lot of words. And as the child grows, like after the toddlerhood, you can slowly use the real words. Like, for example, we say, do you, for water, you may use like in your local language, do you want to drink some ta, or do you want to, for sleep, you may say nini, things like that. But slowly, once a child is growing older, you can use the real words. That's how they learn more words. And be firm and consistent. Be firm in what you're saying to the children. Do not give up very easily. What is needed, what is right, we need to do for the child. And consistency is very important. Like it is like setting up a routine to them, a ritual to them. And also, children do not like a lot of changes. This we talk in the school setting. Suddenly, if the classroom or the routine of the day is changed, not all the children or most of the children will be liking that. They are not very easily adaptable to the changes. They need to be prepared. They are like they should know what is going to happen, what can be expected. So always give them a cue about what they can expect in a day before major changes happening. Next is the creative development. Creativity is an aspect of children's behavior that reflects from experimentation, imagination, and exploration. Just a minute. The most important function of creativity is the self-expression. It is about thinking out of box, or giving a different approach to an idea, those kind of things. So this creative development is also very important in a child, a new idea or a new combination of idea that rarely happens. It should be appropriate and relevant. It should be fluent and flexibility. How can you stimulate this creative development in children? Through encouraging art and play, helping the child to find new ways of looking at things, inviting the child to create, encouraging creative problem solving, giving an array of experiences visiting places. These are the things that can help in stimulating creative development. Now we're going to see about the importance of play in children. What is your opinion about play? Do you think it is important? How do you think it is beneficial to the child? Some of us are not, we keep saying to the children, like, you're always playing and playing, you're not studying, you don't want to do anything else. You are like so much involved in play. We haven't thought that play is different, learning is different, but it is not so. Children learn a lot through play. Let us look into it. Play helps a child build confidence. They feel loved, happy, and safe. They develop social skills, language, and communication. They learn about caring for others and the environment, again, the social skills. They develop physical skills, connect and refine pathways in the brain. So, all the developmental domains that we're talking about, play can definitely help them build on it. The benefits of play: They learn concepts, language development is happening, they develop social skills, physical development, learn life skills, build knowledge and problem solving skills. There are also types of play, unoccupied play, that the child may not really be engaged in the play. She'll be simply looking at the toys or having something in the hand. That can be like unoccupied play. Solitary play is like playing all alone. Onlooker play is like watching others doing things. Again, the child is not really involved in play. Parallel play, two or more children will be playing side by side. They are not playing together, but you are doing something and the other child is doing something. Associative play, playing together. Cooperative play, socio-dramatic play are the role plays or Britain play, things like that. How do you promote play? Play activities to meet developmental needs. Based on the developmental needs, you can alter the play. You can, if you think that the child, the gross motors should be developed, you can ask them to play this pandiatam, nondiatam, things like that, where their gross muscles can be developed, running and playing, those kind of things. You can alter them according to the needs. Create or prepare the environment. This may not be always the case. Like you can just let them play. Children know what to pick and how to alter the things around them to play. And then provide appropriate materials, provide time for learning through play, supervise play, but refrain from interference unless needed. Don't always get involved and, this is not the way you build this tower. Give me the blocks, I will show you how to do it. No, let them do it. Let them figure out how the things are done. They may be more creative than us. We wouldn't know. Then observe the learning outcomes. So these are all about the how the children learn and they develop in various areas. Now we can talk about some positive behavioral support. As parents or as teachers, how you can positively support their behavior. So first thing is modeling the right behavior. Before we proceed on to this, is there anything that you would like to say about like so far what we saw? Anybody?
Yes,
Because it's like
Swapna.
only I'm speaking and
So I'd like to ask about the emotional regulation part of children.
yes,
Because
yes.
when child goes through a traumatic experience, some sort of trauma in their childhood, it affects them emotionally. It sustains for a
Yes.
period of time. So you have mentioned
Yes.
like 2-3 techniques. Can I hear a few more techniques from your side? It will be really helpful. What do you adapt?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, this is Chandra here. Usually we have a discussion session at the end of your presentation. So I
Okay,
think
madam.
if you want to answer this question now, you're more than welcome. But for the question you asked us before
Okay.
this, that is for the participation, there will be more questions to be discussed with you at the end of your session, ma'am. So if you
Okay,
want to go
okay,
ahead
madam.
with
Yeah,
this
we can do it
question,
that way.
it is up to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I will wait till the end, sir. I will keep the question in mind when we can talk about it towards the end. Is it okay, sir?
Sure, Swapna. No issues.
Okay, thank you. So the positive behavioral support is like modeling the right behavior. Children learn more from the elders, from the adults, right? So it is very important that what we expect from the child, we should be able to give them, model them. It's like mirroring the behavior. So we have to be watchful about how we are behaving to the child. Setting limits or rules. You can have some rules, like you can have some family rules or classroom rules where you expect all the children to abide by them. For example, in the classroom, you can say using indoor voices, not being very loud, things like that. And at home, you can have some rules like about the food choices, healthy food habits. This is what we do on a regular basis. Like we eat our meals together. We expect everybody to be sitting together and eating our meals. Those are the small rules that you can set if you would wish to. Next is like being consistent with the child. Again, you cannot allow them to do something today and tomorrow if you're going to say no to it. And again, when there is a emotional outburst or you're not able to handle the child and you tell them not to do that, it is not expected. It doesn't work that way. So you need to be very consistent in what you are telling the child and what you're expecting from the children. And then giving the healthy choices that we already spoke about. And then redirecting. For example, when a child is going to scribble something on the wall, immediately you're like, no, don't do that. The child is definitely not going to listen to you. Either the child is going to be scared or not going to listen to you. So rather you can redirect them. You can give them, I'm going to give you a paper. You can sit down and draw on that. No, that is redirecting strategies. And then I messages, that is like, I feel very sad when you're not sharing your toy to me. I feel very happy when you play with me. When you use phrases like this, the child is able to very well understand the emotions and what is expected, the right behavior and all those things. And you can teach them about the magic words such as using please, thank you, and sorry, excuse me. These are all you can keep insisting. Use the magic word. If you want something, what should you say? These are all will work wonders. Next, tone of voice. This is a very, how should I say, at least in the Indian setup, we most of the times we keep shouting at our children and they don't know the difference between you're really angry or you're okay with something. So it is very important to keep a tone of voice. The child should be able to understand if you are saying something loud, you're definitely not liking it or you're really angry about it. Most of the time, it's better we maintain a very soft and comforting tone to the child. Next is acknowledging the right behavior. When the child is doing the right behavior, we should definitely praise them, acknowledge it. This is a small activity. Anybody can do it. These are all the negative phrases that you generally we use with our children. Without using this negative thing, how can you say in a positive way? For example, if the child is shouting and you go and say, don't shout, instead of saying, don't shout, how you can do the same with the child? Anybody can try it.
Can you be a little quiet?
Okay.
You
Okay.
can ask the child to
No
know
scribbling on the wall.
Can you
Come
use
on,
a
let's
paper to write?
something like that.
Yeah, right. We can say we don't, we use soft voices inside the house, inside the room, indoor voices, outdoor voices, things like that. No scribbling on the wall. Yes, you can use the paper or I can give you a book. Next is stop crying.
Maybe use a distraction, use something to please the child.
It is not a very bad emotion. It is not something wrong to cry about something. It is okay. The child is just letting the emotion out. You can say, I understand that you really
It's
feel
okay.
bad about this.
It's okay.
Acknowledge the feeling and then you can use the redirecting thing.
Well enough.
No hitting. No.
It is not good to hurt. It hurts.
Very good. It hurts. Very good. That they should understand that empathy is forming here only. When they acknowledge that the same feeling it is for the other person, that is very, very important. And it is very sad that most of the children do not realize this part. Okay. I can't hear you.
Can you tell me once again?
Can you speak a bit loud?
Okay, cool. Cool. I can't buy you that now. I'm not buying you that now.
Buy that thing after
Hello.
some period of time.
I know
Maybe.
that you
I'm
like
sorry,
it.
I can't hear you.
For the moment you take this, later I can buy
Exactly.
that for you.
Very good. Yes. Stop running.
Can you be a bit slower?
Great. No throwing. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can place it on the ground or give it to me in my hand. These are all small things, but they definitely make a lot of difference in engaging with a child. There is another one example that I read in a book, like how to talk to children. There, the author says that when a child is crying for a favorite snack, you can't immediately. I mean, if you say that I'm not going to buy you that, you can't have it now. It's too late in the night. It's not good to have sugar or sweets. If you say that, there is going to be a lot of tantrum. The child is going to cry more about it, right? So rather, if you say, "Oh yeah, that is actually a very nice thing to eat, and even I feel like having it now, but unfortunately we don't have it at home. I wish I be a superhero, or I have some magic in my hand. I can bring it to you right now. We both can have it together." When you make the imagination is also building there, and the child is able to understand that you are able to acknowledge the feelings. I have even tried it out with my own child, and she started describing, "Oh yeah, I wish I was a fairy. I was an angel." No, those are the differences. How to handle tantrums when the child is going out of control, crying too much, and demanding too much. You need to prepare your child's mind, meet their needs first. Take their favorite thing, give them simple choices. What is the cause of tantrum? Inability to express in words. When the child is not able to express their emotions, regulate their emotions, there is a lot of tantrum. So back work on the social emotional part. Distract or divert their attention, as sir already mentioned that. Don't get mad if they whine or cry. It's okay. It is okay to be upset. You should make the child understand that it is okay to cry. It is okay to be upset. Some of the parents, like when the child cries, they're not able to take it. Even they start shouting at them. Some of them go even spank them and things like that. So no, don't provoke it. Sometimes it is better to give them some time alone. They let the meltdown happen. They will come back slowly. Use positive words and empathize. Empathizing is very important again. Make them know that you're understanding their emotions. Okay, we have finished it.
Thank you very much,
Okay. So
Swapna.
now I think
That was very informative and thought-provoking as well. And I feel like I've given a lot of inputs, how to deal with a child when it was really, really small. They can
yeah,
understand that.
actually it was a very challenging task for me to finish this in 45 minutes, because child development and child learning is a very vast area, and to cover it up, what to include and what to put out was
We could sense it, ma'am, actually, with the amount of information you have shared in this presentation. We could sense it, how detailed it has been, like, and how nicely you have put your thoughts in to make it to 45 minutes. Very kind of you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so much
much.
for that.
Thank
Ma'am,
you.
this is the question answer session now, and I request the
Yeah.
participants to mute your mic. So put your questions in the chat box.
Okay.
Before going in there, ma'am, I just wanted to ask you one question regarding not to say no to throw, because I
Yeah.
was able to construct better statements for the the positive side of talking to a child. But when it comes to that no throwing thing, I know personally 1.5-year-old boy who's really good at listening and paying attention. But what he does is like whatever he sees, he throws it off, ma'am. He don't understand. But what people say is like don't throw only. How can we regulate that activity, and how can we be like more friendly with that kind of act, ma'am? Whatever it is, he's just pulling out the this thing, and he's putting down the phones. Whatever he sees, he's just throwing it away. Only that
Okay.
thing has got.
Yeah. First thing is like most of the children do it repeatedly because they want our attention. even if you're shouting, even if you're punishing, that is the kind of attention that they are receiving towards them. So they try to grab that and they do this kind of behavior. So it is okay. Don't immediately react to it. You can tell them slowly. The thing might break or it may get spoiled. Why don't you try giving it in my hand? Go closer to the child. You will be able to sense it, right? Like if it is happening for a period of time, then you are likely to say like what is the next thing that is going to happen. So be a little closer to the child and encourage him giving it to your hands. When he does it, maybe you can give him some positive reinforcements like. See, I would always not recommend giving something to eat or not like that. Maybe you can give us a star or a favorite, what they like to be called as. You can give them that name, things like that in a very possible way. Not every time you can give a chocolate or a treat, right? So
Okay,
encourage
ma'am.
them like that.
Okay,
And try
ma'am.
to be closer to the child and take it. Once he does it, maybe you can appreciate him for the good behavior, like clapping or making everyone else in the room identifying, recognizing, say, hey, he has done it, let's everyone clap for him, things like that.
Okay, ma'am. I'll just let them know this. Ma'am, to begin with the discussion, we can start with a question
Yeah.
of Abhijit sir. He asked you previously, and then we'll go on, ma'am.
Yes, sure. So sir, can you give an example like for your question,
Okay,
or can you
Swapna.
put it again so that I can give an example?
If a child who's raised in an orphanage, uh,
Mm,
if the is being a bit abusive, okay,
okay.
in that sort of scenario, children they'll have the way they reveal emotions, they don't know that at that point of time. After some few years, they come to realize that it's really challenging for them to reveal their emotions. At that point of time, maybe around 10, 12 years, how do you
Mm,
support them? Can you relate?
yeah. Your voice is actually breaking. So you were
Okay,
giving me an
get the over.
example of a child uh, who
Sir,
faces.
can you please put your question in the chat box, sir? That would greatly help for us to learn because your voice is breaking for every couple of words.
Yeah.
Sure, Sandra, sure.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we would like to learn from your question, so kindly put your question in the chat box, sir. Before that, ma'am, we have a couple of requests
Anybody else?
asking you
Yeah.
to explain the turtle technique, ma'am. Can you be more detailed on
The
it, ma'am?
turtle technique?
Couple of participants have asked
Yeah.
on that.
Okay. I'm not able to see the chat box. Like, just a minute. Okay. Can I turn on my video so that I can show you how to do it?
The chat box,
Sure.
it's the right corner square now. You can press that and the chat box will.
Yes. Sir. Yeah, I see that, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So how is it like the turtle usually when it wants to go away from a situation or if it is raining or something like that, it goes and hides himself inside the shell. It covers the head is going inside the shell. Like that, when the child is very angry, some children are not able to control their anger. They just hit the other children or throw the things away. So when they feel an emotion like that, angry emotion, you can just ask the child to cover the face like this and bend the neck, the head, and be there for a few seconds, maybe 1 to 5, he can count. And then slowly the emotion will be regulated and then he can come out. No, the preschoolers and kindergartners, they will find these things effective. I have tried it out at least in my settings, like school settings and house settings. So at that point of time, the children may immediately not be able to do that. You just tell them, come on, be the turtle. How does a turtle hide? Do it, do it. Come on. You know, we need to be there and encourage them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir,
is your question there? I'm not able to.
No, not yet, ma'am. I'm just waiting
Not
for
yet.
sir.
Okay.
If you want, you
No,
can
so
try
not.
talking also. We'll see how we can
Type.
hear you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? Timeout is actually not very good for children. There was a time that, you know, in and out timeout was used. Even when when I did my master's in early childhood education, I used to think this timeout will work. Putting the child separately. I'll first explain what is a timeout. When a child does an inappropriate behavior or an action, what you do is like you send them away. You make them sit separately in a corner of a room, or and ask them to be there for 5 minutes or so. It is like not a physical punishment, but you're neglecting the child. That will definitely have a bad kind of emotional or impact on the children. They do not want to be neglected. Make them understand. No, I at least I'm not for timeout. I feel it will affect the child. So explain the child, give them the consequences. If you're doing something, you're not allowed to play with this for the next day, or one day, or one next 1 hour. You cannot take him to the play if he's not able to play with others. Things like that is okay, but completely avoiding, neglecting, it makes them feel that they are not understood or heard. So no. Does the child Does the play by a child help it to grow in cognitive? Yes, definitely. The child, a lot of thinking process is happening there. They're able to, substitute things. They will just take a few blocks and make it like a laptop, and they say, "This is my laptop. I'm going to use it. I'm working like just like my father or mother at home." A lot of creativity, cognitive development is happening when a child is engaged in play. Definitely, yes. And most of the time, parents, they don't allow children to play in the sand. They take them to the play park inside the apartment, wherever, inside the community. And then they ask the children, don't touch the sand, don't play in the sand, you will get infection. No, it doesn't work that way. Let the children get used to it, play in the sand, touch everything. That is how I think the immunity is also building. After coming home, you can wash their hands or give them a bath. That is okay. I used to have a lot of arguments in my previous community. I let my child play, and the others, those who are coming there, they look at me like, why are you letting your child play in the sand? I say it's okay. When they touch the things, the more of sensory learning is happening. Okay, next one. Oh, okay, it's really big question. If the child has an abusive childhood, maybe a child of 6 to 7 years in an orphanage, and the caregiver is being physically abused, emotionally the child will be scarred. Yes, definitely. Reduction levels will not be up to the mark. How to support a child in regaining its emotional regulation? Okay.
That's regulation
Uh,
levels. Swapna, regulation levels, not
yes, sir.
reduction.
Yes, sir. We need to be very supportive. You need to talk to them. You need to make the child understand that he is accepted and loved. That is why we keep saying that bonding is very important for the child. At least there should be one person whom the child can trust on, rely on, and feel secured about. So this physical abuse and all will take a lot of negative impact on the child. So we should make sure that the child is away from those kind of influences. So build a close rapport, feel them secure, talk to them. Spending time with the children itself is enough. It's not that you are buying something to them or things like that. Emotional attachment is enough. That is what I'm trying to say. At least one person should be there. Because what happens is when the child is emotionally upset, the self-esteem is gone. He doesn't trust anybody. He doesn't want to be himself. It is a lifelong impact.
Even that child doesn't allow a stranger to come near him, doesn't.
It will take time, definitely. It is
Yeah.
based on the impact. Maybe he is afraid that, nobody is good. Nobody is good. We cannot trust anybody. The child would have reached to that level. So it's okay, even if he's not identifying at that point of time, or even after a couple of times you are trying to help him, you keep doing what you want to do. Slowly, the child will understand. Anything else?
I'd like to give a short example. Hope you guys could hear me right now.
Yeah.
I was witnessing a child throwing things, and I also witnessed a mother handling that thing beautifully. So what the mother did is she brought a toy phone. She was throwing the phone away. So she brought a toy phone, and she started to play with her, like she's making phone calls to her, and she's playing with her. She's talking over the phone. She's 1.5 years old. She's also 1.5 years old. And on course of time, when she started to throw the phone away, her mom said that the phone broke and she can't speak to her father or someone else, over the phone.
Okay.
Over her mother, she can't. So she's losing something. So her mother is trying to incorporate value into the things that she takes in her hand. So on course of time, she didn't throw things. She didn't throw. It took maybe a month or two, but on course, she never throws things. Never throws.
Very good. Because there she's telling about the consequences, right? So it is very important that we, be it positive or negative, the child should be aware of what happens if a behavior is done or shown. And when it is directly impacting the child, definitely the child will be able to understand, okay, I'm doing this thing will be lost. I'm not entitled to this. And some behaviors are like temporary. They will grow out of it over a period of time. So patience, we need to be patient, though it is challenging.
Patience it is.
And consistency. Yes, avoiding sugars and snacks before the mealtime, at least 1 hour before the mealtime, is essential. What we do is we give them everything, and then at the time of eating, if they're not eating, we're like shouting at them or getting angry, getting worried that the child is not eating. So we have to stick to some basics first. And sugar levels will definitely, uh, the more sugar intake of sugar, the child will become more active. So after evening, it is better to avoid sugars in any form. Many parents use mobile to tackle children's tantrum. Yes, this is also a much of controversy actually. We say that the mobile phones should not be given to children. That is actually true. There is a limit, like how much time you can make them watch. And if it is going beyond that limit, like it should not hinder one's daily activities. If the child is not able to divert himself or herself away from the phone, always she wants to sit with the phone or screen time, then it is not a good sign. Definitely nowadays, like through rhymes and educative videos, the children are learning a lot. Even I have witnessed it with my own children. They have learned the letters of alphabets, they learned the colors, the names of animals, everything by watching videos. It is okay to let them watch, but not that their activities should be hindered by that. They should be able to go out and play. They should be able to do something else without the phone also. No, care should be taken care that you do not reach that level. Child food with TV is also no because they don't know what they're eating. Sometimes they tend to overeat or they tend to eat very less. The focus should be on the food. So to avoid things like that, we can eat together, encourage the child. You can give him a small plate, and even if he or she is going to spill the food and all, you can allow that. You know, it's okay. Like sometimes it is okay, but not always. Every time it has to be with the TV or with the phone only. Then only I will eat. Means it's not a good sign.
During this these times of corona, how do you suggest, Swapna, the ways of play? Both of
Mm,
most of the homes, parents will be working, work from home. They'll be having their
yeah,
own things to take care of. The child,
definitely.
they'll be having lots of screen time.
Yes.
What are the ways we could incorporate play into this? So your perspective.
Yeah, my perspective, yes, sure. This is definitely the case everywhere. Children are more into the screen time and being neglected, not wantedly from the parents, but it is so happening. It is okay, like you can find out what the child interested in. You can buy more of activity-based books, coloring or doing simple matching activities or solving activities, puzzles, and things like that. You can invest in those because not all of us have time to make things at home and give to the children. You can buy simple books or things like that. Play-Doh. If you know every time you're not able to invest on Play-Doh, you can just make use of the wheat flour chapati dough, and you can add some food coloring if you want, and give it to the children. That is how we do in the school settings. Like we use the dough, add some food color to it, and give to the children. Um, if you're conscious about the child is going to eat it, maybe you can add more salt to it so that they will not put it into their mouth. So those are all simple techniques, and then encourage the children to use the things inside the house, be it even the vegetables, onions, tomatoes. If you want to teach them counting or sorting, you can give them a basket of different vegetables and ask them to sort this out. Keep all the onions separately, keep the tomatoes separately. At least for some time they will be engaged in that. Things like that might help. Art is very important, so as much as possible try to engage them in art activities. It's okay even if they're scribbling and just pouring the paint all over the floor. Just spread some newspapers, give them some blank sheets, and ask them to paint. That they will be involved for pretty long time, 20 to 30 minutes at least, definitely.
We are transitioning into a new phase of learning, right, Swapna? For the children and us, both ways.
Yeah, yeah, origami. Transition about what exactly, sir? Are you talking about like kindergarten to regular school activities or babyhood to learning, or what are you talking about?
I'm just giving a plain statement that we are transitioning into new way of learning, both for parents and the child. Transitioning into a new period of period of how learning happens, inside homes, both parents working
that
and
is
effectively spending time with the children using some Jenga blocks or cooking, cooking together, cooking, maybe drawing together, artwork.
See, that is what learning should not be a different phase or different activity. It should be a part of growing. So it doesn't have any start point or end point. It has to happen from a very early time, early age. It can happen anywhere and everywhere. If you're taking your child in the car, when you stop at a traffic signal, you can talk about the colors in it. The green says go, the red says stop. And then when you're walking with your child, you can say, let us count our footsteps. 1, 2, 3. The child is learning. Learning happens everywhere, and that is how it should be actually. Not like a rote learning, sitting and doing 1, 2, 3, ABC. No. This is more effective.
It is. It is.
Thank you. I see a lot of comments in the chat box. Thank you. In fact, this is my first webinar doing alone. I have coordinated along with TN Forces. We have trained teachers, but first time I'm doing it alone. So in the beginning, definitely I was a bit nervous. Thank you, everyone.
Finished up pretty well.
Thank you.
Thank
So I can even share my email ID with you in case, like, if you have any questions or if you want more information about something, you can feel free to reach me. gmail.com. I think we are far behind the time limit. I mean, anything else?
Thank you, Swapna ma'am. I'm Dr. Salim from the core team.
Thank you, sir.
I think a lot of people had a lot of benefits in the question and answer session. You beautifully answered all the questions. So it was a
Thank
wonderful
you, sir.
ma'am. And
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I also run a Facebook page called Early Years. You
Okay.
can see some of my posts relating to parenting and for teachers and children. You can also like it and be part of it and ask me for questions there.
Yeah.
It's Early Years in Facebook.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. And it was a very wonderful session. You rightly point out of all the points like responsible, the child development, like nurture and nature. Definitely, it is a factor in the responsibility. And of course, domains of development, physical development, cognitive, and socio-emotional development, you very well explained. Particularly focus on the socio-emotional development because that is the only thing expressing and the management of the emotions of children.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
self-care and making friends, asking for help, all those things. And he gives a lot of ways to regulate the emotions, like smelling the flower, blowing the candle, like counting 1 to 10, lot of like turtle techniques and all those things. So it will be definitely useful. And we learned the theory of development very well, like pre-operational, operational, formal operational, lot of
Yes,
things.
sir.
Wonderful explanation by you, ma'am. And
Thank you.
development, we very well clearly explained, like ability of thinking and perceiving information process and understanding the problem solving, of course. So like coming to the physical development side, you divided into two parts like fine motor and gross motor, and locomotor as well as non-locomotor things. I
Yes.
think all participants learned a lot from this theory part, and as well as definitely 100% they benefited your question answer session. You very clearly explained
Thank
and give tips. And just I have to mention stimulation for CD also. You clearly explained, expose to books and listening and talk to more, all those things. It was a very wonderful and practical and very useful all the points, like theoretical as well as Q&A question answer also. So
Thank you,
I
sir.
thank on behalf of American College Madurai and MS Chellamuthi Institute Madurai and Madras School of Social Work Chennai and Red Pond Educational Psychological Research Center Madurai and Psycho-Oncological Association Turkey. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all the participants.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, once again for giving me this opportunity.